Shalom. I'm Alan Tufts, the rabbi at Temple Bethel here in Hollywood, Florida. This week's Torah portion, Va-et-chanan, is the second parsha, the second portion of the book of Deuteronomy. And in this portion we find some of the most important passages found anywhere in the Torah. For one thing, we have a second telling of the Ten Commandments. The first version of the Ten Commandments is found in the book of Exodus, and the second telling of the Ten Commandments is found in this week's Torah portion. Something you might want to do this Shabbos is to flip open your Chumash or Pentateuch to the version found in Exodus, and to flip to this section of this week's Torah portion that contains a second and slightly different version of the Ten Commandments, and to compare them. And that's always an interesting thing to do. In chapter 6 of the book of Deuteronomy, we come across those very central words in Judaism: Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, often translated as "Hear, O Israel, the Lord," or some versions say, "The Eternal is our God, the Lord is one." And that is followed by a passage that we often call the Va-et-chanan because of its first word. It goes, "Va-et-chanan et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol meodecha." You shall love the Lord thy God, or some people say the Eternal thy God, with all of thy heart, with all of thy soul, and with all of thy might. It goes on also to tell us to teach these words, the words of the Torah, to our children, to bind them as a sign upon our hand. Often people have said that this represents the tefillin shel yod, that tefillin, those little phylacteries that we put on our arms, on our left arms by our heart, and we should put them as a sign on our forehead. People have said that represents the tefillin shel rosh, that phylactery that we put on our foreheads. And it also says that you should put these words on the doorposts of your house. And people have said that means to put a mezuzah up. So we can see how important this passage is in Jewish tradition. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about just the meaning of Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. What does the word Shema mean? We often say that it means to hear, but it can also mean to obey. It can mean to take heed of. And then we have that word at the very end, Echad. What does Echad mean? Now, those of you who know some elementary Hebrew know that the word Echad usually means one. But there have been Jewish scholars throughout the ages who have said that one is not does not cover it. Does not cover the entire meaning of the Torah in this case. Echad can mean alone or only, that there's only one God. Maybe that's what this is telling us, that the Lord our God, that the Eternal, Adonai our God, is the only God. There is no other God. And that would be a very monotheistic way of declaring what our faith is about. Now, when we came into contact with Christians who had a Trinitarian idea of God, that God was actually the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, we Jews were uncomfortable with that notion. For us, God is a singular entity, not to be divided up in any way. And so some Jews in Europe, maybe in kind of a debate sort of mode, said the word echad means indivisible. And when you think about it, one might mean those things. It might mean one, it might mean only, exclusively, or it might mean unique, and it could also mean indivisible. And certainly, all of those concepts are found within Judaism. We are strict monotheists. We believe only in one God. There is no other God for us. God is unique, different from all other beings that we might encounter, and certainly God is indivisible. And although we might only understand some aspect of God at one time, only to discover another aspect of God at some later date, God is a single entity. So study this portion, and maybe you will come across your own deeper interpretation of what this Torah portion means. Shabbat Shalom.